Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Paulo and today we're going to be talking about professional transformation. So today we are on the third episode of this series. If you did not watch the previous ones, I'm going to drop them on the comments below. Feel free to check them out. So the one before this one is about the Netherlands, and previous to that one is the start of our journey in Portugal. Okay, so together with me I have
I'm Dora.
Yes.
I'm Paulo's partner.
Exactly. So as said, so today we're going to be focusing then on the third episode that is around Belgium. Okay. If you do like this kind of videos, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Okay. Subscribe and join me on this journey. Join us on this journey. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about four main things. So one is around the move from the Netherlands to Belgium. Then the second one is around the settling in Belgium. Then the third is about the living, and then the fourth about the working. Okay, how is it that it's
Exactly.
how does work looks like in Belgium? Okay, without further ado, let's move into the first one. Okay, the move from.
I will talk about the move because
yes.
I was the cause of that move. Mainly because Belgium presented itself as a very interesting market in the ecological architecture. So it's a very different market if we compare Netherlands with Belgium. Netherlands, it's about big investment in housing, so you have these big developments, but not much of a private small investment has a family home, for example. Belgium is just the other way around. Of course, we also have the big investments, but there is a lot of small investment. And in that sense, architecture is very looked for.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, due to their cultural traits, there is, I think, it's one of the most developed countries in implementation of ecology in architecture. So, due to that, I had done a workshop there in earth architecture, and which brought me kind of an offer. A work offer.
Exactly.
So I went to Ghent in Belgium for that. After 1 year and a half, more or less, in the Netherlands, with our daughter.
Yes, exactly. So during that time, I was still working in the Netherlands. Okay, so I was working in Canon Europe HQ, and then my reason for moving was essentially twofold. No, one was of course Dora. Okay, and the other one my daughter, of course, and then my family as a whole. And then I had a second reason to move. That was essentially I got a good proposal to move to Belgium, and I moved then from Canon Europe, where I was working as the EMEA CRM professional. Okay, salute to everyone from Canon. And then I moved to ESCO, okay, Global HQ in Ghent, Belgium. Salute to everyone from ESCO. And that was the main reasons why. So I moved to a more high level kind of position. Okay, so let's talk about the second point, that is to settle down then in Belgium.
So paperwork.
Yeah.
It's not much different from the Netherlands. So the circuit of papers are more or less the same. So having a job, having an address, bank account, and one is dependent on the other, as you said before.
The vicious circle.
Exactly. There is small differences, as in Belgium it takes less time to have a meeting to take care of the paperwork, sorry, so it would be like a week, but then it will take a month or more to have the paperwork done and to be able to actually use it.
Exactly.
So without, it's an example, without your paper done, you cannot buy a phone card.
A disposable one even, okay?
Nothing.
No way.
So we had to use our Holland card, our Netherlands card, for the time we needed, let's say, till the paperwork was done.
Yeah, that on my case actually took 4 months. So on my case, I had a very, let's say, complicated kind of process.
Exactly. Yeah. Paulo took like, I don't know, I think 4 months till the
4 months
paperwork was done.
Yeah.
And that had some
knock-on effects, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what I can say as well, as some kind of examples into that. So for instance, I got my bank account frozen. Okay. Why? Because my ID card was still not ready for whatever reason. Okay, was not ready, and therefore I went to the bank. I got everything sorted. I spoke to them. I presented my contract because I came already with a contract from the Netherlands. So I was hired there. Everything seemed normal. We already had the house. Everything okay, no problem whatsoever. But then on my first transfer of money, after receiving that transfer of money into the bank, I got there to a normal ATM machine to try withdraw some money, and then pop up the message saying your money is blocked. Feel free to reach out to the bank. Okay, that was not a very good one. So it's PNB Paribas, mon ami. Don't go there. Okay.
Bad experience.
A very bad experience. Okay, but then yeah.
Yeah, and another issue of the issue. It's not an issue. It was actually easy, that part. So moving Simone, she came from a school in the Netherlands where she would stay till 4 years old because it was a private kindergarten, and at 4 years old she would enter the normal system, the public system. In Belgium, she went directly to the public system, although she was 2 years and a half, because it's the age they accept every child at school.
Exactly.
So that was really good for us. It wasn't difficult. The house was just around the corner for us. It was like 5 minutes walking. So that was quite an easy process.
Yeah, the settling part in itself was more or less okay, with the exception of that slight problem of 4 months that I had. But apart from that, yeah, everything is more or less, you need to follow the rules. And also you need to take into consideration that, for instance, if you don't have your ID card, you don't have access to healthcare. You cannot have a call. And also, just to give you guys a bit of how important this is, okay? If you don't have that, you essentially cannot do anything. You are blocked, to say so, okay?
And you can do as a tourist.
Yeah, you can do as a tourist, yeah.
If you need the system, you cannot use it.
Exactly. So one good example why you should actually make sure that you have everything settled in Belgium, it's like we already had that example in the flash, let's put it like that. So we had the cops coming to our place. So the police actually goes to your home to make sure that you're actually living there, that you have the square meters for the amount of people that you should have inside. So everything is quite, let's say, strict.
Exactly. For one thing also that is important, the housing market. So in Belgium, it is much easier to find a house. Houses are better than the Netherlands. So comparing with the Netherlands, in the Netherlands, it's like very quick. You have to decide in a few days because the house will go out of the market very quickly.
The market is very fast.
Yeah, and the choice is not much. Normally the houses are not that good. They are not that big either. In Belgium is the other way around. So you have a lot of good houses. It's easy to find them.
Exactly. Yeah, you're gonna get the really good money for the worth of the house, let's say. So you're gonna be happy. You're gonna have a much bigger house for sure, and much cheaper as well. That's what I would add to that.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move then to the
work part.
Yeah, to the next part. Okay, let's talk work then.
Yeah. So for me, Belgium, let's say, just in the contrary of the Netherlands, they don't have a lot of process. Mainly in my field of work, where, well, for me it was normal to go in a company and they have their drafts and the way they use the pens, for example, to draw. And there I arrived and there was one type of automated, file, but nobody was using it. So each architect is their own world, their own process. And the company, it's, let's say, it's who gets the clients, but there is no one process for all.
Yeah.
So in that sense, of course, for me as a foreigner, it was much more difficult because, of course, my processes were not quite fitting the laws there, the local standards.
Local processes, yeah.
And I didn't have one to be shared with me. So that was a challenge.
Yeah, I think this also up to a certain point. It connects to the last point that we're going to be talking, that is about life, because Belgium is quite creative, and it's also creative at work. What does that mean? And connected to what Dora was saying, so you're going to find less processes. Like for instance, on my experience, is that you need to, on opposition to the Netherlands, it's not as much focused on performance per se or KPIs or things like that, but much more relational driven. Okay, so you need to spend more time talking to people, lobbying between brackets. Like for instance, if you go into a meeting in the Netherlands, what you do is you prepare yourself, you have everything ready, you have the key performance indicators that you need to showcase and prove your point, to allow for people to understand how is it that they can follow and track. If you go to Belgium, you need to take some time, a part of that, to spend time with people, explaining, between brackets, lobbying, before you actually go into the meeting, because if you don't do that, you're going to have a lower probability of success. Okay, that will be my advice,
Yes.
work-wise.
So another challenge in terms of work, well, this what Paul is talking about is very important. So creativity is a must, which of course for an architect, it's very important because you are much more allowed to overcome barriers. People want you to create new things. So in that sense, it can be more fulfilling.
Yeah.
In the other side, you also have a challenge with the language. So we were in Flanders, where they speak Dutch.
Yeah.
And in that sense, we came from a country where they speak Dutch, and that gave us also a base. But of course, architects work with law, and reading the law in Dutch was very, very challenging. And it is not as used to speak English there. So if you are in Brussels, they are actually bilingual, and they speak Dutch and French. More French in the streets because of course it's a capital, a lot of immigrants, and they mainly speak French. But in Ghent, which is another city in Flanders, the language is Dutch, and in that sense you have to adapt.
Yeah, exactly. And therefore, it's actually what you're saying. It's relevant because you're gonna get access. At least for me on my end, I was much more in touch with Dutch-speaking people. Okay, and at first I thought that Belgium was a bilingual country, and it's not. So you do feel that at work as well. So on my case, so I was working on an international company. So yeah, English was spoken, of course, but essentially Dutch, not French. Okay, so French is much more spoken, of course, on Wallonie. Okay, and in Brussels, but not as much in Flanders.
No,
Okay.
it's not very common that
To
they
find
speak-
people that
that
yeah
they speak French. And there is a little region where they speak German also,
yeah.
but it's really small.
Yeah. Another point from the work that I find it actually quite interesting and would be my advice to you guys is so Belgium is much more hierarchical, okay, and much more pressure based. Okay, what is it that I mean with that? So, for instance, in the Netherlands, it's much more relaxed. Society is more relaxed as well. But when you go to work, it's in the Netherlands, though, you have the KPIs, the process, efficiency that you have to take into account, all of that. In Belgium, it's much more pressure based, it's much more hierarchical. So it's fundamental that you achieve success within, let's say, the second month. So they give you more or less 1 month to get acquainted with your work, with people, etc. And then it's expected for you to start deliver on the second month. And if you do not do so, then you're gonna start feeling the pressure. That is, yeah, it's much more and hierarchical position. So there is not so much room for you to, I don't know, not to agree with your boss or with whoever you're talking to if it's hierarchical superior to you. Okay, just to give you an example of that, what is it that I mean? Like for instance, I still remember, and for me it was a shock. Okay, as a Portuguese, which is cool because you are always happy to learn new stuff. So I remember that I was in a European meeting in Canon HQ, and then I remember that our president was like presenting the plan for Canon for the next 3 years or something like that. And then there was a colleague of mine that actually said to the president that after he closed this presentation that he did not agree with the strategy. Okay, and that is really outstanding. And actually, it's a good example of the differences between the Netherlands and Belgium with regards to this. So, for instance, this is really allowed between brackets in the Netherlands. You can have the discussion. You not be able to do that in Belgium, I would say. Similar to Portugal, it's much
not
more
well
hierarchical.
seen that
Yeah,
you defy the superior, let's say.
exactly.
And you can see, the way they treat the teachers in the Netherlands, it's by their name, their first name. The way they treat teachers in Belgium, it's by calling them Mr. Teacher. So,
Yes, exactly.
so it's more like Portugal in that sense.
Yeah, exactly. But work-wise, it's like you're gonna feel that Belgium are very, and the society is very like entrepreneur. Okay, you're gonna have people with their own companies all over the place, which is amazing. It's a lot of creativity at work, and there is a lot of how to say creativity put it into place together with a certain degree of passion for what they do. I would say they do things in a
They are very detailed. And
detailed,
very
yeah, and perfectionist up to a certain
yes.
point. Okay,
So it's a good place to learn. So
yeah.
going to culture.
Yeah, and living, okay, and to close, yeah.
So living in Belgium is much more lively than the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Netherlands is a bit boring, to use the word, although it's really cool to work and to relax. If you want to have more of a, have fun, Belgium is more the place to be.
Yeah,
So,
and why? Because you have very good beer. That of course you're gonna have it also in the Netherlands. But yeah, Belgium is known by its beers. Okay, loads of beers,
and it's
food.
much easier to speak with people and make friends.
People are more open as well, more close, I would say.
More spontaneous.
Yes, and it's like it's a much more kind of creative society. So you're gonna find, let's say, in the middle of street, people playing piano.
Ghent was a special, nice city for that. It's a academic city, so you had a lot of creativity. We had this festival in the city where you could see not just artists but actual families playing instruments in the street, or selling orange juice, or selling their clothes.
Yeah.
So it's quite
more authentic, I would say. It's
Yes.
like Belgium is more authentic in that sense. It's like, for instance, they would read books, no, like books, real books. In the Netherlands, you get e-books. Okay, they are still reading the same, but it's different.
Connected to technology than the Netherlands. They prefer the outside, the nature. So, for example, activities for kids, you have a lot of things in nature, and they implement it, they enjoy it. It's really, in that sense, is very nice.
Yeah, I would say also to add, Belgium is essentially a social state, okay? Most likely the best social state that we ever lived, where we save the most money as well, where you get actually paid very well, okay? So it has the highest minimum, or one of the highest minimum wages, but also one of the highest salaries in Europe.
Although taxes are quite high.
Exactly.
So they say, I think the highest in the world is there. So if you have a salary that is more than 37,000 a year, you will have 50% taxes on your salary.
Yeah.
So, but that goes a long way.
Yeah, so, it lasts throughout the month, let's say.
You'll have access to really good health, good infrastructures, and if you're talking about hospitals and clinics, schools are very good.
Yeah.
So
because it's like that, it's a social state, okay, where everything is like you pay a lot, but you have access to a lot as well. Okay, everything already is paid off. So
Paulo just and bye.
So so as just to close on this, what I was saying is that the average of expense, let's say, it's quite manageable. Okay, what does that mean? It means that you can actually live a very good life. Okay, it's really within a very comfortable kind of bracket, because everything is already paid for as part of your taxes. Okay, and that's it. Okay, hopefully this was an interesting video. Feel free to give it a thumbs up. Okay, we really appreciate it. We are doing this to help out others, okay, during this professional transformation. So we've done so on the last crisis, and we are really happy to help out as much as we can. And apart from that, just join me on this journey and subscribe. Okay, cheers, take care, bye bye.